So when's the last time you had a Coney Island hot dog, Owen?
Well, that's a little bit of a trick question because we have Coney Islands in Detroit, and we call them a Coney Island, and it's a chili dog made with a Mediterranean style chili. And so there is a whole class of restaurants that people around here refer to as Coney Islands, where you
Okay.
walk in, and they're usually moderately Greek places that serve chili dogs, and they're awesome when you taste them. They are not awesome when you taste them again 3 hours later.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm heading as soon as I was just telling Owen, as soon as we finish the podcast, me and the lovely Mrs. White are heading to the Big Apple, and we're going to go see
Oh,
Denzel Washington is on Broadway. So that should be,
wow.
yeah, that should be fun. And I can't remember the other guy's name. His first name is Jake. Real handsome guy, played in one of my favorite movies called Source Code. And I can't remember his name, but anyway, if you saw him, you'd go, "Oh, how cool is that?" That both of these guys are going to be on Broadway. But that's not what we're talking about. Well,
Um,
kind of. So that's my future here for the next 4 days. And what I thought we'd talk
okay.
for a little bit is like the future of the industry, because there's a lot
Mm.
of changes, both in regulation, right? We got the
Mm-hmm.
CFP is, let's say, on the ropes, probably at best on the ropes. We have all the
Yep.
technology and AI and like kind of where all this stuff going. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about like where's the industry heading to, and I think the number one question I hear loan officers asking me is,
Mm-hmm.
what role do you think AI is playing in the mortgage industry? In other words, loan officers want to know, hey, am I going to be going the way of a travel agent, to book an airline
Great
ticket,
question.
So
Yep.
where do you see that? Where's all this AI and the future of the mortgage industry with all that stuff?
So there's really two areas of AI. Think about it this way. One area is what they call the manufacturing of a loan, which is how much it costs a mortgage company to produce a loan. This covers software and employee costs and underwriting and funding and closing and post closing and all that stuff. And there's a tremendous need to reduce costs in that area because it just costs too much money to produce a loan. We're getting to the point in time where the public can't bear the cost. So that's a huge opportunity. I don't think that's the opportunity that most people who are listening to this podcast are thinking of. So let's go to the other opportunity, which is in the origination space. And I think what you'll see, Carl, is a big change in how people who are interested in getting a mortgage are found, when they're found, and the methodology with which they're found. Those that adopt artificial intelligence will win at a higher percentage. Those that don't adopt artificial intelligence will lose at a higher percentage. And so it's going to shrink the circle of winners and concentrate more volume in that circle of winners. So we all have to act to be one of the winners. And let me just put everybody's mind at ease a little bit as it relates to the travel agent analogy, because I hear that all the time. You really have to be careful because being a loan officer, remember, requires a license. And in order to ask certain questions, deal in certain information, quote rates, et cetera, you have to be a real person with a real license. There's no state in the union right now where you can get quote unquote AI or an AI avatar or whatever you name your AI, right? You can't get that licensed. And so there's going to be a certain protection, if you will, because I don't think too many people in Springfield, Illinois, or Albany, New York, or Austin, Texas, or where you are in Tallahassee, Florida, in the state capitals who are going to stand up and say, you know what, we ought to get rid of individual loan officer licensing and just let the computer do it. I don't think that's a winning message, at least not for the next 5 to 10 years. So what I think is, but people are going to use AI to get in front of people quicker. People are going to use AI to expand their reach. And what you're going to see is more of the available business is going to get soaked up by AI. And let me tell you this, I think most of the loan officers that listen to your podcast are in the distributed retail area of the business, meaning they're responsible for originating their own loans. We need, and I conduct most of our business in that area, we need to be on it, because if we're not, consumer direct loan officers who have a lower cost base are going to capture that business. So, and there are some ways where you can be adopting it in the next 0 to 6 months. And boy, oh boy, we got to capitalize on those opportunities, because those that do will win at a high level.
So do you think, I always think in business, I always think of two things. There's traffic, which is
Mm-hmm.
who and how many people we're talking to. And then there's conversion, is at what percentage do we convert them into clients? Do you see the
Yep.
technology and AI being primarily a traffic instrument to help us talk to more people? Or do you think it's more of a conversion that it helps us convert more of them, or both equally?
Well, I think initially it's going to be talk to more people, right? Because the AI is going fast.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly how it's going to be received by the public. Um, you have to be very careful, because AI calling is, controlled by the TCPA. I think that's, sometimes I get that acronym wrong. I apologize if you do, but it's basically the spam calling.
Yeah.
And so everybody needs to be sure when they talk to people that you get that opt-in consent.
Yeah.
That should be part of your standard application package. If it's not part of your standard application package or your standard disclosure package, you're really behind the 8 ball. You got to get with somebody and get that information in there. You should be collecting opt-ins on everybody that you talk to, because that will control the marketing of the future. And if you don't have a plan for that, I think you need to change that fact immediately. But I think it's initially going to be lead generation. I think it should be initially be used to increase the amount of realtors that you talk to, and to
Yeah.
increase the amount of borrowers that you talk to. And you got to pay attention to your monitored database. You have to have your database monitored by some service that alerts you when the people are more likely to get a mortgage. Because the one thing that I think that the cardinal sin, if you will, is assuming that people in my database are only being monitored by me. That's 100% false. Your person is probably in several databases. You know, have they ever downloaded Realtor.com? Have they ever downloaded the Zillow app? Have they ever filled out an open house flyer by a realtor or a loan officer that is tech savvy? If you think you're the only one, have they ever downloaded the Rocket Mortgage or another financial app to their phone? They are being monitored. And so if you think, like my wife occasionally thinks, right? Oh, that's kind of creepy, that kind of dark web stuff where you watch what people are doing. I get it. I think it's a little creepy too. But I promise you, there are 3 or 4 other people monitoring everybody in your database. And if you don't do this, if you don't have a plan for this, you are going to slowly lose your ability to pluck future clients from your past client database. And you just simply have to have a plan for that.
So with technology playing such a big part, and I agree with you 100%, I think it's a huge traffic advantage now. And we know that these
Mm-hmm.
big online lenders, and I'm not going to, we're not in the business of throwing rocks. Frankly, I admire them
Yeah.
on the front edge of things, right? Somebody's super
Many
successful.
parts of their business I admire,
Yeah.
100%.
So it doesn't mean that I'd vote for them, right? But
I'm not sure any of them are running for office right
yeah,
now, but
yeah. I do admire, their forward thinking. So in saying that,
Mhm.
here, I don't know, like when I got in the business, heck, there weren't any online lenders, right? The
Mhm.
Quickets of the world hadn't even been thought of yet, as far as becoming an online lender. Do you see
Mhm.
the online lenders? Do you see them becoming more of a something that we're gonna have to look out for? Do you think, with some of the disastrous results like Zillow had in trying to become a real estate agent, do you think that there's going to be less of it? They kind of learned their lesson from it, or do you think, hey, there's going to be some of both? Like, where do you see that going?
So I think the online lenders are going to increase their power, not decrease their power. I don't know if power is the right word. Maybe substitute power for market presence.
Yeah.
Um, because here's the advantage that they have over distributed retail, right? And I'm here on Carl's podcast talking to the man that wrote the book on call reluctance, right? Literally. And um, you go to an online lender, many of those are set up like a consumer direct shop. They've got loan officers who have a license who make some version of this pay program, $40,000 a year and 10 bips or $200 or whatever for every closed loan. Those people can talk to people about rates, about their mortgage, about their income, about the likely underwriting of their loan, about their appraisal, all those things that the AI avatar cannot do. And their employer, for lack of a better phrase, can force them to make the calls and follow up and do the live call transfers, and they're experts at getting opt-ins, right? So they're going to be able to text people, and we don't know yet how the public is going to receive all this, but they're going to have huge legs up on the adoption of this. So I don't think that, the so-called headset phone jockey is the best place to get a mortgage. I think the individual service that a distributed retail loan officer, the expertise that they have, is superior. But if we don't ever get a chance to talk to the borrower, we're going to lose 100 out of 100 times. So for those distributed retail loan officers that have a plan to adopt this type of technology and actually adopt it and do the marketing, I think they will win at a very high level. Those that don't, I think will work 40% harder to earn 40% less money 4 or 5 years down the road.
Hey there. Hey, if you're loving the tips so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down there and then tap the little bell so that you never miss out on more free, cool tips coming your way. Also, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment beneath there. Let me know what you think or tell me what you'd like to hear next. Yeah, I think you're on track there. 'Cause what's that stat? I think it's off the top of my head, I think it's 79% of the people that close a loan close it with the first loan officer that
First
they
loan officer that they talk to, and 93% choose one of the first two loan officers that they talk to. So
so
there's a little bit of value in being second. There's a boatload of value in being first, and there's almost no value in being third or anything else.
yeah.
And we've
Yes, I
got, but the good news, Carl, the silver lining is
tell me.
if you are with a forward thinking company that looks at, invests in, and makes technology available,
Yeah.
the technology is affordable if you use it. If you write a check for it, you install it on your computer, and you never open it up and you never use it, it's not affordable, right? It's a waste. But if you actually use it, it's affordable. The tools are available for those in the distributed retail space to adopt and win at a high level. But the key word is adopt. And we, are traditionally bad at that. And when I say we, I mean those of us in the distributed retail space. I'm largely in the distributed retail space. And we have to change our habits if we're going to win. We have to.
I tell you what brought this topic up for me today. So, obviously, you know this, but I'm just telling the listeners that I flew up to Detroit to hang out with you for a day here earlier this week.
Yes,
And that demonstration that I saw, I cannot get that out of my head. Where
that's right.
you and your company, y'all put together this AI instrument, and this thing uh, answers your phone. So
Mm-hmm.
like the third ring or fourth ring, however you want to set it up, that if you're a loan officer, like never again will somebody catch voicemail because if they catch
That's
your
right.
voicemail, first thing they're going to do is they're going to call the next person. The realtor handed out three cards. They're
Yeah,
going to
the old three card Monty from the
yeah,
realtor. Sure.
and that's a
Yep.
real thing. Just like if I'm calling to get, tires put on my car, if I catch a voicemail, I'm going to call the ones that's just, just down the road the other direction, right? It's just how it works, right?
Yeah.
So this thing
You can't lose that conversation. Yeah, go ahead.
so this thing answered the phone, spoke to me like I swear I thought I was talking with a real person, like really.
Yeah,
It asked me when my
it's good.
availability was, and I said, "Well, how about Wednesday at 2 o'clock?" That sounds great. All right, so I'll be sure to tell insert in loan officer's name to he'll be calling you at this number at 2 o'clock. Anything else I can help you with today? No, that's it. All right, we'll talk to you on Wednesday. It was like, holy cow, I cannot believe that was a machine. Um,
Yep.
uh, and it would call my past database, have a conversation with them. It would call like the Zillow leads and online leads. I've always been kind of I wouldn't say against them. They're just not a good use of time because they convert so low. But the reason why it's not a good use of time because it converts so low is because I have to talk to 100 people to close one loan. They have about a 1% conversion rate. Well, and that number doesn't change. However,
Yeah.
if somebody else was doing it that never got sick, never calls in late, never goes on
Mm-hmm.
vacation, and all day long, never takes a coffee break, and all day long they're calling these Zillow leads for me, and again, set an appointment on my calendar. Um, See, that's a game changer. That changes all the rules on these, like calling my past database and the
It,
that
even
that was
yeah,
remarkable.
it exponentially increases the amount of people that you talk to. Anybody that follows my friend Carl White on his podcast or Breakfast Club or any of his things knows that one of his mantras is make more offers.
Yeah,
Right? Yes, we want to increase pull through, but one of the surest ways is to make more offers. And when you make more offers, you win. And this helps you exponentially make more offers. And it's something that we work on every single day. It's not yet perfect, but I'm a huge, huge believer that of production before perfection. If you wait till something's perfect, you usually miss your opportunity.
yeah,
So there's always a few bumps in the beta test, but the technology is there and it's there right now for us as an industry and us as a sector of the industry, the distributed retail sector, to win. And I love winning,
yeah,
and I want to win. And I want to help everybody I work with win, and I want to help our area of the industry win. And so that's why, I love to talk about this topic because, we're not travel agents. You didn't have to have a license from the state of Michigan to sell somebody an airline ticket or a license from the state of New York or California or Texas or Florida or Georgia or wherever you live to sell somebody an airline ticket in 1984, right? And that's why, those folks, we have a little bit of protection, but man, we got to be smart about what we adopt and we can win at a very high level.
mm, well said. Yeah, it was so that system might not be perfect, but I tell you what, it was. I didn't see the imperfection. Now I'm sure they're oh gosh, we didn't think about this. I mean, things are going to come up, I'm sure, as with anything. But I'm telling you what, I had a conversation with that thing, and I when I came home, I've been telling everybody it was. unbelievable. Like I got in the office and said, Diane, you've got to hear this. So I gave her the phone number to call, where she got the
Yeah.
the the virtual answering service. And it was such a game changer from, anytime I call a company or any kind of call any kind of a business and I get their voicemail, the first thing that pops in my head 100% of the time is, oh, this is not a real company, right? Because like if I
Yeah.
call the car dealership down the road, it's not going to say, "Hey, all the salesmen are busy right now, but if you leave your name and phone number, when we get a chance, we'll go." Like that'll happen zero times out of zero when I call the Ford dealership or the Mercedes dealership or
Yeah. I
anybody.
think I think as a society, we've just kind of collectively moved past voicemail. I
100%.
mean, how many times, unless, and just full disclosure, unless I'm calling my mom or my dad, who I love dearly, and who obviously I'm 54, so you can do the potential math about how old my parents might be. Unless I'm calling my mom or my dad, I don't bother leaving a voicemail. My mom always listens to every word of the voicemail and comments on it,
Yeah.
but nobody else does.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well said.
anyway,
Hey, I got one more
uh,
question, and I got to
yes,
dash because
sir.
I'm heading to the airport here in just a few minutes.
You
I
got to
heard.
go get that Coney Island hot dog. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Maria was tapping at my door here just a few minutes ago. But
Yep.
and we might have kind of answered this. How can our listeners future proof their business? How can they know or what can they do to make sure that, hey, for the next five, and I usually don't paint out too much further than that because we have no idea what 10 years is going to look like. It's hard enough to predict five these days.
Correct.
But like to
Correct.
future proof my business for the next 5 years, anything other than what we've already talked about we need to do?
I mean, we talked a lot about the AI piece. I would just say about technology in general. You got to go deep on two or three different technology platforms. One is not enough anymore, and otherwise, it's gonna happen slowly. Like not slowly, but like at 3-4% per month. But if you go a whole year at losing 3 to 4% a month, you've lost 40%, right? So you've got to adopt two or three technology platforms. You've got to infuse them into your business, and you've got to talk to as many people as possible. You must have some type of system that red flags people that might be mortgageable. There are several systems. We're not billboards for those companies, but there are some that are out there. And remember, if you're not monitoring your database, two or three other companies at least are. One of them is likely a call center type company that will force their employee to call that person if you're not calling them. So please don't make the mistake of thinking you're protected.
Yeah, that's a great point. Hey, for our listeners, if you want some more information about some of this technology that we're using, we're happy to share it with you. And let's see, what's the best way to do it? I'm just thinking probably the best way to do it would be to uh, here, I tell you what you can do. Go to the site that I give out each time, getmoreloans.com. But in there, it'll say, "Hey, what do you want to talk about?" And just say, "Hey, I'd like to hear more about this AI technology that Carl and Owen are using." So right in my own branch. So this is we're definitely going to be turning this thing on. And we'll share with you how we're doing it so that you can, take it and insert it in, where you work at. And so would love to share that with you. It's really, really interesting stuff. And frankly, it's the tech team spent a lot of time putting this stuff together, but it's not an expensive thing. I mean, the setup is, of course, the figuring out part was darned expensive, right? You know that better than I do.
Yeah, well, and if Steve were on this call, he'd be whacking me over the head with a broom, going, "Remember, we got to test it more. We got to test it more because they want it to work so badly." And I do too, but we got to go out there with it because other people are going out there with it, and we are going out there with it, and
This is not one of the things like, hey, I'm going to
it
wait
can
and
be a
see.
game changer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't sit by and watch how this works out because once you get behind, It's just
You can't
really,
wait for perfect. Yeah, you
yeah.
can't wait for perfect.
Probably a perfect example, and again, this unfortunately this has become political. Like you look at Elon, or
Hmm.
let's say it a different word. You look at Tesla, how they were first to market in a big way on electric cars, and watch all the others trying to catch up, and boy, that's not working out so well for them. That the
Well, if you look at it, I think I'm going to get this wrong, but Tesla has a market cap multiples 5, 6, 7 times what General Motors is. General Motors makes billions of dollars a year. Tesla sometimes is profitable, sometimes is not. Yet their market cap is so much more valuable. That's the power of technology right there, or the
yeah,
perception of technology.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. You
it's a
don't want
game
to.
changer. It's a game changer when you talk to your realtors too.
Yeah, you don't want to play catch up on this stuff. So, all right. So getmoreloans.com. We'll be happy to share with you the technology and how we're doing it, and some of the different things it'll do. It's really impressive. So, oh, and I appreciate you, brother. Looking forward to hanging out with you here. I think a couple weeks we're doing a boot
Yep.
camp
Looking forward to it.
up in Michigan. So we'll have a lot of fun doing that. So,
I may or may not already have a cigar in the humidor, Carl, but I'm not going to comment on it.
my man, yeah, I personally stay away from all kinds of tobacco and alcohol products. So I'll sit there and watch you do it, and oh, I don't know, maybe to participate. So I'm looking forward to it, brother. I
Feast
really am.
on the cigar. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to
Amen.
hanging out there. So, all right, my man, I appreciate you, Owen. Thanks for everything you do for the industry. Thanks for what you do for me personally, and thanks for all the great information you bring to our listeners. I always appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir. Thank you.